So Isaac and Torald were these musicians who've, were doing the musician thing. And they were signed with Interscope, and they were touring, opening with Coldplay and Pink, touring the world, doing big stadiums. And then they were driving around one day, and I'm kind of telling your story.
Yeah, I like hearing
in Beverly Hills trying to get somewhere. But they kept getting these messages about something they were supposed to be doing that was different than being like gigging, touring musicians. And it was to take people on these journeys as singers and songwriters. And it really changed their business, changed, who you are in the world and what you're up to. So I'm at Isaac and Torald, I don't know, maybe 5 years ago now. And Torald's a cyclist, and so we started riding together. And I went to school for music, but I never thought of myself as a writer. I just sang songs, and so they do this thing called the Songwriter's Journey, where they basically take you on kind of a hero's journey of your own life, and from that help you write an album. They start with saying, hey, what are some of the songs you wish you had recorded to get a vibe for the kind of stuff you'd want to record. Then you pick certain melodies that are going to be the foundation of certain songs. And then Isaac and I start writing lyrics to them, and eventually we go into the studio, and eventually we're here at a album release concert with songs that I never knew I had in me and songs I never knew I'd be sharing with you. So I just want to start by thanking my brothers. It has been a wild ride. They do this, by the way, so if any of you in live stream land or here want to do this, you can do Songwriters Journeys with them. And they have a group program where they take a small group through this really deeply personal process to find out, like, what is there to say, and I know for any of you who are in the kind of the thought leadership space, knowing what you have to say in the world, that's a journey to find that. And to say it authentically and say it with truth. And there's such a stand for that. So I just want to say thank you.
Thank you, Jeffrey.
And I'll share more about the album and kind of songs and stories behind them. But why don't we start singing?
Let's do it.
So this is a tune called Be Released. I'm just going to share a little bit about it. In 2012, you know how we're supposed to have, like, 2012 is supposed to be the end of the world, apparently, right? And there was, like, all that stuff, like, oh, my gosh, what's going to happen because of the end of the Mayan calendar, for any of you that follow that stuff. So for me, what that was, like, who I thought was the love of my life on January 2, when I flew back home to San Francisco, broke up with me. Oh. And then 3 days later, I went on retreat with my then business partner, and we realized we were moving in different directions. So by January 7, like, there goes my love interest, there goes my business, there goes my business partner, there goes my business identity. And it was like the most painful year of my life. I'm not really much of a crier, but I was that year. And one particular event I was putting on was out in Stinson Beach at this gorgeous house we'd rented. And I was driving down Highway 1 to the beach house. And I shit you not, a Sarah McLachlan song came on, and I just started, like, weeping. And I had to pull off to the side of the road and, like, take care of myself. And this is kind of that place when you wanna check out because your heart's breaking, but something's breaking open. Stay, these feet of mine on this ground below me. Pray this heart of mine to be heard above me. How much can my it's released. Oh, how much can my heart break? Oh, it gets what it needs to be released. Home is a place filled with grace. Return me life, this sweet, sweet gift. Drink it up, baptize me. Oh, how much can my soul take? Oh, it aches before it's released. Oh, how much my heart breaks, and it gets what it needs to be released. Be released. Be released. Yeah, in middle school, I got 47 detentions in 7th grade.
That's an achievement.
Yeah, it was. Another story for the only reason I did not get kicked out of that school for another day. But my nickname was Fairy. Like, I realized I was gay the summer before I entered middle school, and I entered a new middle school. The kids didn't know me. And I always grew up with my big sister. She's 3 years older. And so she was kind of getting gothy, and I got really gothy. And it was my way to say, like, fuck you, world. Yeah, I don't know that I need to say anything more than that about this tune. My heart was beating faster, just a little boy laying on the sand. I was different from my father in every single way. Thought that I was damned. And so it begins. They call me a weirdo. I became a freak. But you don't know my kind. You can't read my mind. Take me just the way I am. Take me wilder, but don't forget my heart. Tried to tame the monster, to make it go away. You know that didn't work. I dressed up like a rocker to make those fuckers pay and dignify the hurt. So it begins to call in the hero. The outcast must speak. You don't know my kind. You can't take me wilder, but don't forget my heart. Ooh, 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 don't forget my heart. Ooh, ooh, you don't know. Oh, 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 don't forget my heart. Ooh, 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 don't forget my heart. Oh, don't forget my heart. So yeah, that song was about my sister and I used to go to Holland State Park, and it's on Lake Michigan, and we would go and sunbathe every summer as you did in the 80s, copper tone on, SPF 4. And yeah, this was that was the day I realized I was gay. These group of girls and guys came up to say hello, and we were laying out, and I look up, and there was these beautiful girls in their bikinis and guys in board shorts. And I couldn't get my eyes off from their abs. And it was that moment where I was like, I'm looking at the wrong thing. And my life just turned upside down because I was raised in this really religious, evangelical household where okay, you are officially burning in hell for all of eternity. Thank you very much. I think sometimes the only way to navigate is either to shut down or fight, and hence my 47 detentions. So, this next tune is called Light of Your Grace. When I was 33, I was working at Microsoft and had that moment where it's like, this isn't it anymore. And especially I know a bunch of people in my community have had that moment where it's like, yeah, right? I can't keep doing this, and I don't know what the replacement is, I went on this date with this guy, James Shank. I love James Shank. What
a name.
Isn't it great? He's the owner and chef of Destino, this restaurant in San Francisco. And I didn't have a love connection with James, but I had a love connection with the conversation we had on our first date. Our only date, actually. He told me about opening his restaurant and how he'd use this coach. And that the coach asked him, how are people going to feel in your restaurant? What kind of conversations are they going to have? If they leave and talk about their experience the next day, what might they say? Really built the emotional core of the business and then said, great, now what's the decor and what's the price point and where in the city does it need to be located, etc. And at the time, he'd been in business for over a decade, which is a feat in San Francisco. I kept going to all my friends, and I'd be like, I went on a date with this guy, he's this thing called a coach, right? And they were like, you should do that, Jeffrey. I was like, yeah. Anyway, I went on this date with this guy, he's this thing called a coach, and you should do that, Jeffrey. And this went on at least a half a dozen times until I was like, maybe I should do that. So I did, and I left Microsoft in 2005-06. And I was maybe a year or two into starting this business as a coach. And I thought I was answering my life's calling. My calling is to be a coach. The curtains opened into heaven and the sign came down and here it was. And it wasn't working. The business wasn't working, the phone was not ringing, the crickets were definitely chirping. And I had this one morning where I was just, those days when you can't keep fighting anymore? Where you're like, I can't keep trying to push at a wall that's not moving. And I just gave up. And I was talking to God, talking to the universe, what is this? What do I need to do? I went in the shower. and I was showering. I heard this voice, because I was really like, who am I supposed to be serving? I heard this voice like, who do you want to serve, Jeffrey? I was like, I guess folks that are kind of spiritual in nature. And the next question came, which ones? And I was like, well, one's in business, I guess, because they could afford me. And sure enough, over 15, 16 years later, that's what I'm doing, helping paradigm changers put words to their work, helping them package their gift in this world so they can be a change agent in this world. But this song, Light of Your Grace, was that moment when I felt really deserted and didn't know what to do.
Please don't desert me in my dark place. Show me the way. I only know how to follow you, and now you leave me with no trace. Here I reside. I don't know what to do. Stranded, I feel left all alone. Heavenly host, army of angels, lead me out of this wilderness. Could you take my hand? Take me promised land, let me stay a while. Don't you leave me alone. Oh, I'm walking in the light of your grace. You're begging me to stay, even when I'm tempted to stray. A constant invitation to stay. My heart, your voice, it speaks to me softly at first. I hear the call, a light through the cloud, hand reaching out to me, a ray of hope, I'll know where to go. Take my hand, take me promised land, let me stay a while. Don't you leave me alone. Oh, I'm walking in the light of your grace. You begging me to stay, even when I'm tempted to stray. Yeah, you're begging me to stay, always there to meet me halfway. Yeah, you're begging me to stay, living in the light of your grace. I took a step, you move towards me, and we begin this dance again. I was thirsty in the rain, but you are the ocean calling me to play. So I say, hey, I'm walking in the light of your grace. Yeah, you're begging me to stay. You're begging me to stay, even when I'm tempted to stray. You never need to stray, living in the light of your grace, living in the light of your grace.
So, I think from that day on the beach when I was 13 till the day when I was, 2012, when I really got my heart broken, I was looking for the filler. You know, the guy or gal, whoever floats your boat, a little bit of both for some of us. Like, oh, that then I'll be complete. Then I'll be whole. Then it will all work. And the funny thing is, all these years like of pining for my love, I look back at it and go like, oh, I didn't actually do much about it. I mean, I dated, right? Largely unsuccessfully. But I dated a lot. Had plenty of 3-month relationships. Those were the good ones. And I dated this guy, Mark. Mark was like, I sang in this cabaret show. And afterwards, we were all lined up, like greeting people as they were leaving, thanking them for coming, right? And this guy walks out of the theater with this like quilted Burberry jacket and these boots. And I turned to my friend, I was like, oh, yeah, he could chop my wood. Just looked like, he should be in Vermont or something. That's what I meant. And it like he was the guy, like he had this gorgeous house. My friend Rob's looking at me like, did you just say that? I love it. Yes, I did. Like I thought he was the filler, because he had all the things. And we dated for 3 years. And one day he was leaving the house. I'll never forget this. I'm laying in bed. He's leaving the house. And he just looked and we'd been kind of talking like, where is this going? And he looked at me and he's like, are you in love with me? And I was like, no. I love you, but I don't think I'm in love with you. Are you in love with me? He's like, no. Anyway, I gotta go. And he like left and went to work. And I still remember like laying there stunned, like, what was that just happened, right? I waited till I knew it would be on the highway. I called him. We talked for like 20 minutes. And I just got up and I methodically went through the house and got all of my stuff, put it in a grocery bag, wrote a note, left my key, and left. And the funny thing was, there was a part of my parents are very different. My dad's an engineer, my mom's a minister. They don't have a lot in common. And I always thought, like, I don't want that in my partnership. And I would have these dinners, like, with him on Tuesday nights where, like, we didn't have anything to talk about. Just sitting there and going, like, how did I get into this relationship? And, that was, those, like, and I left the house that day, and I was having that conversation, and I was asking the universe, like, why did I have to date this guy? And the answer I got back was, Jeffrey, you can't disown something you have not yet owned. You dated Mark to take ownership of that dynamic in your relationship with your parents so you could say, enough. And you did it. And you walked out the house. And that was that. That was that. I'm going to make this next part very brief because my partner Pete gets very squirrely and very self-conscious when I talk about him. The camera does not need to pan over. We're good.
He's handsome, though.
He's very handsome. So I went on this bike ride after I moved to LA, and I have a lot of these conversations, as you can tell, right? I'm having another one of these conversations in my head with the universe, and I'm like, okay, I feel the bigness of my mission, and I'm in. Here are all my chips. I'm in. One condition: I'm not doing the sucker alone. Could I? Probably. Do I have any interest? No. And the universe's response was like a chuckle. Like, do you think that's such a big deal in the whole universe for you to have one person in your life? So then I actually got serious about becoming the person I would need to be to have a guy I would want in my life. I did all sorts of crap for a good couple of years. But one of the things I did is I looked for couples that had something I would want to emulate. And I would invite them out to dinner, and I would grill them. I'd be like, all right, how does this thing work, right? Like, what are the rules? How does this work? And one couple in particular, they were just champions for one another. They championed one another's dreams. They both had, like, big stuff they're doing in the world. And I was like, that is what I want. That's what I need. And I had this dating profile, and I put somewhere in there that I'm looking for a champion who can also champion, that I can champion who can champion me. And Pete messaged me, and on our very first phone call, he's like, yeah, you said in your profile you're looking for someone who can champion you. He's like, I know how to champion somebody. And I was like, okay, you have my attention. And here we are in the home we bought together 3 years ago. And it's so good. I love you, my sweetheart. Thank you for being. He was like, you're doing this at the house? How are you? So thanks for hanging. Here we are. Hi, gorgeous. So this song's a little bit about Mark and a whole lot about Pete.
Thought I wanted a love to make me greater. I thought I needed a hero with a key to my closed heart. So I searched and tried to fit within your mold, and I learned to hide, to love and still withhold. But dreams unfold when I found my heart, made it my home. Now it sings to my soul, not a savior, champion, my champion, champion, my champion. Oh, I remember all the lonely days of waiting, hunting for treasure. It was my heart I was craving all along. So I searched and tried to fit within your mold, and I learned to hide, to love and still withhold. But dreams unfold when I found my heart, made it
Oh, I gotta tell you, this guy in 2012 that broke my heart, like, he was the ultimate fantasy, and Pete had his ultimate fantasy before he dated me, and I really learned, like, sometimes you need to let the fantasy crumble to make room for something real. So, love you, sweetheart. Thank you. So let me just introduce the band here. Carrie Frank on keys. Brian Taylor on percussion, cajon. Gloating champion on bass. We got Steve Farber on guitar. Torald, my brother. So Torald Corin on all sorts of things. And Isaac, my right-hand man on vocals. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So this is the last tune. It's called You Belong.
Let's take a moment, though, to honor this man. Because back in, I want to say it was 2017 now, we started the songwriters journey, and you curiously said, tell me more about that thing you guys did. And after many bike rides and hangs, we ended up saying yes to walking a journey for multiple months, many months.
Yeah.
And this is the culmination of a man stepping out of maybe, I wouldn't say a hiatus, but stepping into the center of your voice. And you've taken such a journey. And I need to take a moment to acknowledge you, because not only did you pen these songs into stories that are integrated into what you even are about, like your reason for living, but you've also, over the last 2 years, gone from a man that sings as a performance to finding who you really are as a voice. And I feel like it's just beginning. And that is multiple journeys in one over the last five years, really.
Yeah.
And I think it needed to take till now for you to get there. And so hasn't been long at all, right? And I've watched you over the last 2 years actually become an experience of your voice in front of others, and today's a living testament. I don't get your performing at all, so I'm so honored to watch and be here in this moment.
Well
So-
said.
And you know what? Congratulations.
I gotta tell you, I used to do this acting for singers class with Bobby Wineapple in San Francisco. Bobby Wineapple. And, because I used to do a lot of like cabaret singing and jazz clubs and whatnot. And man, I loved to perform. And every single time I'd be in class, he's like, do less. Let the song do the work. And I'm like, huh? Like, the song's just on paper. I got to perform it. Like, I got to do it. And, especially those in my community, I started this a good number of years ago, and might be wondering, like, why are you just releasing it now? I would say, like, there's one technical reason, but it's not the real reason. Like, there's some stuff I wanted to clean up in the vocals and do differently and whatnot. But a lot of that was because the first time we went into the studio, I was performing, and Torald would say, go into the studio and act as if the microphone is just a voyeur. Like, don't sing into the microphone. Just sing and let the mic be a voyeur. And for somebody that, like, put on a lot of armor as a performer, so you don't get this guy, that took some doing. And, here we are now.
Yeah.
So, all good. Yeah.
Yeah. And we celebrate.
Yeah. So this last tune, if there's one thing that I must stand for in this world, it's having people belong. Have a place in the world that they can call their own. And what I know is life changes. Actually, Prudence is here. So when I turned 41, those birthdays where you've got nothing planned? Like, it's not a 5 or a 0 birthday, right? It's like a 3 or a 1 or 2 or 4. I guess those are the ones in between. So this was a 1, 41. And it was like 2 weeks out or maybe a week out. I think only a week out. And I was feeling crappy because I didn't have any plans that I had made and bought. And I was like, okay, Jeffrey, don't feel sorry for yourself. Just invite some friends to a dinner at a restaurant and call it a day and at least have something on the books. So I did. 10 folks. And Prudence was one of them.
Perfect.
And we were texting, and she was like, why don't we have it at the house? At her house, meaning, right? And I was like, she's a physician. She's very busy. Like, so I did one of those very polite no's, which started with, that is so sweet. Thank you so much. How kind. But you're so busy. Let's just keep it. She read the first sentence, and she's like, great. Why don't you come over this afternoon and and we'll plan a menu. And I remember sitting there when I got her response going, oh, this is about learning to receive. Okay, I'll take it in, right? So we did, planned a gorgeous meal at the house. And over this dinner, folks shared what they see in me and what they saw for me for the next year. And everybody that was there was like up to stuff in the world, you know, prominent authors, and Prudence is a prominent physician, and people like really doing shit in the world. Excuse me, Willow. Willow is 7. Is that right? Going on 26. And I'll never forget the drive home. I don't remember what anybody said. What I remember is the drive home, feeling that like these people had my back and they wanted the best for me. And I felt like I belonged in a way I never had. Like something about it locked in, you know? And I was having one of those conversations again. And and the message I got was, Jeffrey, until now, you've hung back on the wave. This is the surfing analogy. We are in LA. You've hung back on the wave. And you're meant to be an edge rider. You're meant to be out there on the edge. Now I work, you know, my brand is about working with paradigm changers, right? But back then, like, I hadn't really taken a stand for that. And they said, you know, your people were there all along. You just couldn't see them because you hadn't taken your place yet. And sometimes I think we need to take our place to know where we fit. You know, so often we're trying to fit somehow, to be somebody, to find a sense of belonging. But fitting in and belonging are two radically different things. And ever since then, that like, oh, my people are out on the edge. So when I'm on the edge, they're everywhere, right? They were there all along. I just wasn't where they were. So this is about finding your place in the world. A little backstory on the song. Every Sunday, we went to church twice on Sunday and every Wednesday because we were evangelicals. Yeah, Wednesday church. Don't you know about Wednesday church? Yeah, Wednesday church. Yep. Yeah. There's those of you who are like, I know that one very well. Yeah, so every Sunday we had this guy, Pastor Bub, and they would do these altar calls, and, you know, to come and get saved. And he would say, you know, you're in prayer. And he'd say, with every head bowed and with every eye closed, if you don't know beyond a shadow of a doubt, if you leave this building today and get hit by a car that you're going to heaven, I just want you to raise your hand right now. Just raise your hand right now. Nobody's watching, right? Right? And they would do the, like, nobody's watching. So this is very good marketing, right? They like do these step ups. Like, first of all, it's raise your hand because nobody's watching. And of course, I'm like, you know, 7, 8, like peeking around, like, who's the bad people who haven't gotten saved yet? And then when your hand's raised, they praise you for raising your hand. And they say, now just take a stand for the Lord. Wherever you are, just take a stand for the Lord right there. And they got the deacons spread all over. So then the third step is to come up to the altar and get saved. Man, it terrified me every single time because I never knew beyond a shadow of a doubt. Like, I was like, I don't really know who this guy in the sky is. And I don't know how to be sure. And I think it's my ability to question that's actually led me to my faith, not the opposite.
Nice.
So before I do this tune, let me just thank all of you for coming. Live streamers, thanks for being in my world and in my community. It means so much to have you here. You can get the album wherever you stream music, Spotify, iTunes, Apple Music, etc. Just type in Jeffrey Van Dyke, You Belong, and you'll find it. Share it with folks. This is how music gets known these days, because Lord knows I don't have a... Pete was like, what's Joy Boy Records, the label you're on? I was like, it's the label I made up when I distributed
That's
the
a good
music.
name. I like that. Joy Boy.
Because that's my inner guy, you know? So share it with friends. And I also want to thank Pat, my business partner, for being by my side this whole time throughout all this. Thank you for being here. Pete, my partner, for your support throughout all of this. My little brother Josh is here.
Yeah.
His wife can't be here because the kiddo got sick, but my mom and dad, my sister Kim, thank you. They're in North Carolina and Michigan, respectively, so I love you. Thanks for all your support. I could not do this without all of you. So let's rock it.
My son, you don't need to raise your hand. You don't need to take a stand or walk down to the altar call. You're not broke within. You are not mortal sin. You've not lost your way. And this ain't judgment day. You don't need to try and fit in to change your skin. You don't need to prove yourself to be embraced. You don't have to take the blame to feel the shame. I know you're afraid, but there'll be better days. See, we can all receive redemption with each rising of the sun. A love with no affliction, a home for everyone. And I know now that you have a place where you belong. I'm coming home. You don't have to go back to feeling that alone again. You don't have to try so hard to stand amongst your wealthy friends. You don't have to play to win the war you wage with him. You are not the same as you were yesterday. See, we can all receive redemption with each rising of the sun. A love with no affliction, a home for everyone. And I know now that you have a place where you belong. I'm coming home.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you for coming. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Mwah.
Jeffrey Van Dyke.
Thanks, brothers. So, live streamers, I'm just going to say thank you once more. Again, you can stream it anywhere you get the music. You can find the information at jeffreyvandyke.com. Brothers, if they're interested in Songwriters Journey, where do they go?
Email us, please. We want to meet you. We want to talk to you. Just email us at brotherscorin@gmail.com.
Easy
So
peasy.
easy.
So, thank you once again. Have a great night, everybody. Let's go pop some bubbles or something. All right. Have a good night. Bye-bye.